so much for everyone coming here. Thank you, Parimal sir, Lenin, for inviting me. And it's a singular honor to join the panel with Professor Palshikar and Sanjay ji. Uh, I started my study in some ways research on elections at Lokniti 15 years ago, and I used to work with them and learned a great deal from them. So again, I'm here, like one of the interest was to come here and see what Sanjay ji and Suhas ji are going to talk about this election. And so in next 25 to 30 minutes, some of the data Sanjay ji has already presented. But what I'm going to do is take some of the things that he has presented and some other things to make sense of what happened in Maharashtra. So most of you are surprised. Maharashtra stunned analyst. And it stunned analyst because we had a very different expectation, right? Our expectation were very, very different. There were a lot of mystery built around what is going to happen in the election, especially after the Lok Sabha elections. We were told that Maharashtra has 6 different regions, and all the regions are going to have very different intense battles. We were told that political satraps at the district level and independents are going to decide what is going to happen at the end of the day. In fact, everyone was thinking that even when the results come out on 23rd, real election would begin after that, because no party or alliance is going to get full majority, and parties or candidates might be jumping ships after 23rd, who's going to form the government and become chief minister. So surprise is against the expectation. If you look at history and comparative politics, it's not that surprising. And this is what I'm going to show you. So what Maharashtra verdict did, it flattened all kinds of divide. Like map of Maharashtra was dotted with like Mahayuti's color or NDA's color, and across different regions, Mahayuti just swept, which is what Sanjay ji just showed you. Now, why did it happen? So it's not like the surprise is not because of the scale of victory. If you look at even the results or number of MLAs that Mahayuti had before the election, they already had 185, 190 MLAs in the House. And so it's just a slight increase from 190 MLA which was in the House. If you add BJP's 105, some 40 MLAs who came with Shiv Sena, Shinde, and some 40 MLAs who came with NCP, Ajit Pawar, it was already 180, 190. So slight increase is not that sort of like surprising. The surprising point is that in Lok Sabha election, the result was 17 for Mahayuti and 30 for NDA, but people forgot that the vote share difference between the two alliances was less than 1 percentage point. Right? And so this election, if you look at what happens in Indian politics, is it unprecedented? Yes, to a little bit, but not a lot, because reversal of verdicts between national and state elections keep happening, right? BJP keeps winning Lok Sabha elections in Delhi and keeps losing Vidhan Sabha elections. So in Rajasthan, few months back, BJP had won but in assembly election, but they lost in Lok Sabha elections. So those reversals or fluctuations in electoral politics in India is normal. And similarly, also scale of victory. AAP in Delhi has won with more than 90% of the seats. So BJP's strike rate of more than 80% in Maharashtra or its alliance partner of more than 75%. Is unprecedented for Maharashtra because, one, BJP improved its own previous record of 122 seats of 2014, and no party had got more than this kind of seats since 1972. I think in 1972, Congress had 141 seats. So overall, it's a stunning sort of like or unexpected or unprecedented if you look at Maharashtra politics of last 5 years. BJP has got its highest seat tally and Congress has got its lowest seat tally. So it's surprising in context of Maharashtra, but not in terms of like what happens in national politics as in general. But what has happened in Maharashtra now is going to shape the state politics for sure of future, and I'm sure Suhasji is going to touch upon that a little bit more. But also I think it has deep implications for national politics. And so Sanjay ji showed you a lot of data from CSDS survey. I don't want to get into that detail, but big picture sort of like thing is that there is a flattening of divides across all kinds of division, and the key, like I think, again Suhas ji will touch upon this, what we are seeing is that across caste communities, BJP or Mahayuti has led. Now, is it a deft management of caste equations? You know, we have been told that BJP or the Mahayuti government in last 4-5 months created 20 sub-corporations to look after OBC interest. They were worried about Maratha agitation, so managed the other OBC vote and all those kind of things. Is it basically a consolidation or management of caste equation, or is it a greater consolidation of Hindutva and ideological politics? These two things may look same, but the driving factor behind what is happening is slightly different. So something which I want to emphasize, Sanjay ji has presented this data. You have to remember BJP or Mahayuti's 234 seats in context that Mahayuti before the assembly election had more than 180 MLAs in the house, right? So there is an improvement, but they had a bigger bench strength to go in the poll. Second, I think what is very important to look Maharashtra politics of last at least 4 elections, the 2 Lok Sabha elections and 2 Vidhan Sabha elections. So LS is basically Lok Sabha and VS is Vidhan Sabha. BJP vote share is roughly around the same, 25 to 27% mark. Congress vote share has slightly sort of fluctuated, but it's 12 to 16% vote share. It's basically where the changes are happening. LCP, when it was just a party of Sharad Pawar, it had 15 or 16%. Now, if you look at these two parties, it becomes a 20% vote share for combined LCP. Similarly, Shiv Sena used to have 16, 20, 23% vote. Shiv Sena is also 10 plus 12 is 22% party. So what seems to be happening in Maharashtra politics, which we are not paying attention, is that others have been marginalized. They used to have 16% vote share in 2019 Lok Sabha election, has come down to 13. These others had 25% vote share in 2019 Vidhan Sabha, has come down to 18. So this is a big trend of Indian politics. It was clear even during 2024 elections that anyone who's not part of 2 big alliances is going to get squeezed. Right from Tamil Nadu, if you look at AIDMK, Bharatiya Rashtra Samiti in Telangana, YSRCP in Andhra, BJD in Odisha, AIUDF in Assam, BSP in UP, Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab, INLD in Haryana, any party that was not part of big alliance got squeezed in terms of seats. This is also what happened in Maharashtra elections. All the smaller players, the Bahujan Vanchit Akadis and all those things, their vote share have come down significantly and their seat shares have also come down significantly. So what we are seeing in India's party system, a kind of a nationalization of party system where 2 alliances are going to remain as main poles of politics. Okay, what else changed in Maharashtra? So prima facie, BJP's performance of 2014, 2019, 2024 is not very different. Vote share is around 25, 26%. Seat is, they had 122 in 2014, 132 now, so it's not a big change. What seems to be happening is this split in NCP and NCP moving towards the BJP. Had NCP been part of BJP alliance in 2019, they would have won 225 seats. So it's largely basically lost that NCP Sharad Pawar party is suffering in Western Maharashtra and Marathwada region, which is where BJP is the new sort of like gainer. Second thing, if you look Maharashtra politics historically, Congress is in a deep decline. It's declining nationally, but it's also happening in Maharashtra. Even when Congress was part of the coalition government between 1995 and 2014, its seat share never was more than 30%, right? After BJP's rise in 2014, Congress vote share fell below 20%, and now its seat share has fell below 10%. So a long-term structural change in Maharashtra politics is decline of Congress, which is also in sort of like line with its decline in the national politics. Sanjay ji showed you this data, so I don't want to get into detail. Now let me get into the explanations of what is happening. And so among many theories, one theory is that turnout and stuffing of votes and EVM and all those things, it will take greater sort of like things to analyze. But this data, which is LS is again Lok Sabha, VS is Vidhan Sabha. I've just put the turnout numbers. Two trends are very clear. In Vidhan Sabha elections, the turnout is always higher than the Lok Sabha election, right? And overall, the turnout has been increasing. And so the 4% increase of turnout in Maharashtra this time may be something hodgepodge happening, I don't know, but is largely part of a larger trend of last 15 years. Now, did turnout help any party? So now what I'm doing here, these are scatter plots, and so scatter plots, so on this axis I have put turnout, and on y-axis I have put Mahayuti's vote share. And each dot basically represents the connection between, so each dot is one assembly constituency. The first line basically indicates that there is a negative trend. So wherever turnout increased, Mahayuti's vote share actually was not high, it was on decline. So it's not the turnout. What seems to be happening is wherever the turnout increased between those two elections, this is where Mahayuti seems to be, right? And this also indicates what, like if you now join, this is where joining of like these aggregate election commission results and survey data becomes very, very helpful to understand what seems to be happening. Sanjay ji told you popularity of CM increased, that there was a lot of late deciders in the election. This basically seems that Mahayuti or BJP in the last phase of election campaign is doing a lot of mobilization. This is a clear ground level mobilization effect, which is sort of like creating a gain for them in performance. Now, again, what seems to be happening with female voters and sort of Ladki Behna Yojana and BJP's victory? So it did play a role. At least it created a narrative that now there is a scheme which is benefiting a large section of population, and they may be turning out to vote for the incumbent party in the election. So one sometimes, even if it doesn't bring you straight away vote, creation of narratives in elections is very, very important. So again, there is no difference in Mahayuti's vote share and female turnout, right? So each election commission also releases turnout by male and female by every assembly constituency. There is no relationship, almost a flat line. But if I subtract the female turnout minus male turnout, this is where Mahayuti seems to be, right? And so wherever female turnout is higher than the male turnout, there is a correlation between Mahayuti's vote share and gains. So to me, the 2024 assembly election in Maharashtra is basically a perfect storm. Everything that could have gone right for Mahayuti went right. They learned the lesson in 2024 Lok Sabha loss that something has gone bad. So kuch karna hoga. PM came lesser in Maharashtra. He said lesser things about Sharad Pawar and other sort of like leaders which might have created something. Second, I think there was a better ground coordination and mobilization. And everything that could have gone wrong for MVA went wrong. Because of the Lok Sabha performance, everyone in MVA thought that they could become a chief minister. So the election was not about winning the election first, but who can get maximum number of MLAs to become chief minister became the game. So there was a lot of miscoordination, poor ground management, and all kinds of sort of like problems with coordination of worker on the ground. And then, of course, Mahayuti as an incumbent party and BJP as a party in center has greater advantage over MVA in terms of money power, in terms of all kinds of resources to be able to mobilize on the ground. Okay, now a couple of more slides. Now, what I told you before, which is that something is happening to the vote share of smaller parties, right? when we think in terms of like this election between just an election between MVA and Mahayuti, so if you want to compare from 24 Lok Sabha election, both parties has 44% vote share. BJP, Mahayuti's vote share is 49, so they gained 5, but Mahayuti lost 10%, right? So they are gaining 5, that has lost 10%, where is other 5 gaining, right? And this is where, so whenever you have to think of seat conversion, this distribution of votes between different players become very, very important. And so there is a sort of like correlation wherever others are losing a lot of votes, which is like most of the blue dots are concentrated here. Mahayuti is also, Mahayuti is not only gaining votes of MVA, but it is also gaining votes of others. And these two coming together will help them convert a larger number of seats, what Suhasji will call as vote seat multiplier, will get in their favor, right? So conversion of seats will become much better for the Mahayuti in that sense. And this pattern was not just between the, if you are comparing 2019 Assembly election and 2024 Assembly election, this pattern also holds when I compare the 2024 Lok Sabha election and 2024 Vidhan Sabha election. So Election Commission releases parliamentary election data by assembly segment. And so those two data can be matched, and then you can basically look at what kind of patterns are going to play. And so this line, when I look at Mahayuti and MBA vote share, there's not that much difference, but it's others who are basically creating a better sort of like convergence scenario for that Mahayuti. Final sort of graph, and then I'll just get on the implication part, which is, now this is a density plot. Density plot is basically each assembly election and whatever those differences are, it basically tells you a kind of a area kind of a thing. So from 2024 Lok Sabha election to 5 months later, Mahayuti has lost in most of the constituency, most of the assembly segments, and their median losses or mean losses are around 8 percentage points in every assembly constituency, where assembly segment. Whereas Mahayuti seem to have gained in every assembly segment. So these two basically look at very different kind of plots because Mahayuti is gaining in almost every or most of the assembly segment. Okay, finally, just to conclude, 3 sort of like arguments on what is the implication for Maharashtra politics, and I'm sure Suhasji will talk about these things in much more detail. First, Maharashtra politics had a settled equation between 1990 and 2014. The equation was NCP Congress on one side, BJP Shiv Sena on other side. BJP wins national election in 2014, and its expansionist impulse, it was no longer ready to play the second fiddle of Shiv Sena in the state politics. Those alliances break down. Then NCP, so Shiv Sena also breaks, NCP also breaks. So what it has done in last 5 years, the settled political equations of Maharashtra have got disturbed, and now this election basically gives us some indication of what new equations are likely to be, but it will depend on how parties read these mandates. Shiv Sena, NCP and Congress is in deep crisis, and I'm not saying this just because of what happened in this election. Congress, I told you, is a long-term structural decline. Shiv Sena has been also declining in that sense. It has been losing its, even when it was winning seats in 2014 and 2019, it was narrowing in terms of social base. Its OBC leaders had gone earlier, then the Narayan Ranis of Konkan went. So in that sense, it slowly became a smaller party, right? And now, if with this kind of victory, BMC elections happen and Mahayuti wins that, then the Shiv Sena, Balasaheb Thackeray's party would be in a grave danger. The same fate may not hold for Ajit Pawar's family or Sharad Pawar's family because multiple options are possible there. You could see a rapprochement within the family, but that needs to be seen. So two families might have a very different kind of trajectory depending upon what kind of options they have. But given others have declined, it would be hard for them to exist as separate entities for a very long time and able to sort of have a say. So Maharashtra politics is in flux. What will Maharashtra elections do to national politics? two elections are going to happen next year, February Delhi and October, November Bihar. Congress will have problem in both the states. In Delhi, it is already a marginal player. Even I don't think alliance between AP and Congress will happen. Even if it happens, it won't get respectable number of seats. Same thing might happen with them in Bihar. Last time they had contested 70 out of 243 seats in Bihar and had won just 19, bringing the overall tally of Mahagathbandhan down in terms of strike rate. So Congress seriously needs to think nationally what it has to do. This does not mean BJP is going to have a great time in each of these elections, especially BJP won Haryana and Maharashtra where it was an incumbent, but it lost Jharkhand where it was an opposition party. Now, 2014 to 2024 election cycle basically indicated BJP used to be doing better as sort of like opposition rather than incumbent. Is this a change? I don't know, but something to watch out for. And BJP surely is desperate to win places like Delhi and West Bengal. And in each of those states, you have a much more welfareist party. So if BJP reads this election that they won only because of Ladki Behna Yojana, then they will have a serious problem there. But if BJP thinks that there are some ideological Hindutva consolidation and all those things playing a role, then they might have some sort of like headway. But it also depends that a similar kind of narrative didn't play a role in Jharkhand. So what was wrong about Jharkhand's narrative and right about Maharashtra's narrative, that needs to be seen. So with that, I'll just conclude myself, and so thank you.